So, from morning we have been listening to the data centers, BYOD. One of the important things is to make sure that you run all this technology, you need the cabling to be in. So, we'll be on a different topic across into your physical layer. How important is it? Where is the technology actually driving towards in terms of your structured cabling systems are? What are the new technologies that are coming in? The topic that I have chosen today is to look at in terms of how do you bring fiber to the world actually. There has always been a discussion with respect to is it copper or fiber? There's been n number of years we've all been discussing about copper versus fiber. What are the pros and cons? How does it really help us in terms of whether it could be an installation practices, cost perspectives, and so on. The reason why I took up this is, as we all talk about today, content is being the king across. High bandwidth requirement, data rate requirements, the video is actually fueling across when we talk about 4G and move on further. How do we really look at in terms of our data center solutions is, or how do we really look at in terms of our desktop solutions are? There are industries which are on fiber to the desk. It's not just the copper. There are projects going on in terms of fiber to the desk solution across. Is it a reality? What kind of solutions are we looking at? How many of you have heard technology called GPON? Yeah, that's good. So we will look at it. How do you really look at those solutions in terms of your enterprise? Is there customers looking at it? So before I actually just one slide. I represent TE Connectivity, which is formerly known as Tyco Electronics. So this is a new name. So if you've already heard Tyco Electronics, TE Connectivity is nothing but Tyco Electronics, which was formerly known as. We're a $13 billion organization across the globe, purely into connectivity business. Nothing else apart from that. We've been rated from Thomson Reuters as the best innovative company from the last 2 years. Now let me get into the subject across. If you look at it in terms of the broadband connectivity, it's all about fiber. Fiber is getting accelerated across. When we look at high bandwidth requirement, managing across large townships, the data centers today, 4800 gig are ratified. There are customers who are buying ports of 4800 gig. So what kind of solutions that I need to fit in there? Or if there is a customer who is putting in today a 10 gig portfolio, how do I take it over to 40 or 100 gig without even disturbing my existing physical layer setup? So what kind of solutions that I need to look at is something which is critical. As all of us know, it's almost 3 billion internet users worldwide, 15 billion global connections, and 4 times more the traffic growing globally. Let's look at, as any CMOs, the challenges remains the same in terms of reducing cost. Any IT department is looked at as an expense department, not a revenue making. But at the end of the day, the whole IT infrastructure is very, very critical to run the business. That is. So, what does anybody look at in terms of how do I reduce the capex or how do I reduce even my OPEX, which could be used for new projects that could actually come up. The second is about aligning the IT services to your business goals, which is critical. And then the important thing is how do I manage the whole risk case in terms of the regulatory compliance and so on. At least I'll just talk about because this is not working. The solutions that I took up is for understanding of is the optical LAN solution today. How does it really help in terms of taking care of the requirements that are? So let's look at in terms of what's the optical LAN, in terms of what's an optical LAN solution is all about. If you've heard passive optical network, which is nothing but based on your gigabit passive optical networks, which is on the GPON solution. Most of you might be familiar of this, or if not, you might have heard about fiber to the home solution or projects going on in FTTX. How does these solutions work? On an FTTX base, you are not going to have two cores of fiber dropping at every residences, one on transmit, one for receive. It's going to be a single core of fiber that actually gets dropped at each residence, which works on upstream and downstream. So on a single core of fiber getting dropped at each one of the residences, so we will look at how the solutions work across. So the industry looked at, can I look at the same solution being used on an enterprise, and looked at in terms of the cost saving, in terms of manageability, and also takes care of tomorrow's requirement with respect to the bandwidth is. What kind of fibers are used? Now, single mode is the fiber which is used by default, whether it could be in terms of an enterprise or it could be a fiber to the home solution. No multi-mode is actually used on a GPON architecture. It's purely the single mode version. What kind of single mode version is used then? We use the OS2. OS2 is nothing but your zero water peak single mode fiber cables. Apart from that, what kind of fiber patch cards are used? How many of you have been hearing about something called a bend insensitive fibers? If not, bend insensitive fibers are becoming more and more popular. The reason is, both these bend insensitive fibers are available both in single mode as well as multi-mode versions. You have high density of fibers coming in. Could be even the density of fibers that could come within your data center for your storage racks. You look at in terms of how much of fiber patch cards are hanging around. The bends that actually is. So how do I take care so the light does not get escaped out of the core? So we use something called a bend insensitive multi-mode fiber, or could be a single mode fiber across. So you also have a bend insensitive fibers that are used for these GPON architectures, which is the OS2 version. OS2 is by default the zero watt peak, whereas bend insensitive is a G657A, which is a new fiber that is just used at the desktops. So those are the kind of fibers that are actually looked at. If you look at in terms of the whole PON architecture itself, it's a standard based, industry recognized. Today, Telecommunication Industry Association built up their new facility in New York, where entire facility they built it on the GPON solution. They feel that's the way the industry is going to head forward. So, it's on the gigabit passive optical network, it's completely on fiber based, it's point to multi-point topologies. You can use multiple services across voice, video, data on a single core of fiber. So, how does this whole evolution of the entire GPON is being taken care of? We are very familiar with our outside plant system connecting across to residences, connecting across to multi-dwelling units. The same architecture or the solution is being looked at in terms of connecting across to an enterprise LAN architecture. Can I look at it in terms of connecting across to an enterprise structure is? Today, if you look at traditionally the LANs that we build today, at your desktop, you would either lay a category 5E, a Cat6 cable, connecting across from each one of your workstations, which comes across to your network room, where you will have your work group switches or an access switches. From there, you would have a fiber backbone, or could be a copper backbone, connecting across to your centralized or your main distribution area. Or sometimes could also go through a distribution if you are looking at a 3-layer architecture across. How does a GPON change the way we are today? Now, if you look at it, there are no workgroup switches that actually comes at each one of the floors. You would be dropping a single core of fiber to the desks, which gets connected across to the splitters. The splitters are again, it's all the passive splitters are. The passive splitters could be 1:8, 1:16 based on the group of workstation or clusters, and also depend upon in terms of what kind of bandwidth is actually required at each one of the work areas, which then gets dropped down to your main distribution area where your LAN electronics sits, which is the OLTs, optical line terminals, which then gets connected across to your WAN through the router. So you will have single core of fiber getting dropped across to each one of the work areas. So at a cluster you would put 1:32, 1:8, 1:16. What kind of number of work area you split across with those splitters are. Just to give you what kind of fiber is used, what are the wavelengths that you actually test across these workstations. By default, you use the single mode, which is the OS2. You're going to test on 3 wavelengths. Normally, most of you have been using your single mode and multi-modes within your campus networks or premises networks. When we do any testings on a single mode, we test only on 2 wavelengths there. One is on 1310 and 1550 nanometers. Whereas for a multi-mode, we look at 850 nanometer and 1300 nanometers, the wavelength is. Whereas when you are looking at a GPON architecture, you have to test it on 3 wavelengths. One is on 1310, next is 1490, next is 1550 nanometer. You have a different testers to test all this. On a downstream of about 2.4 gig, you will test it at 1490 nanometer wavelength, which could support you for voice, data as well as switch video. Now, when you look at in terms of your upstream, 1.2 gig, now there are ports available for 10 gig also. I'm just taking, for example, of a 2.5 gig ports example. At 1310 nanometer, it could support for voice, data as well as signaling video. Then you have your 1550 nanometer, which is used for your RF analog, which is on the WDM video services app. The entire thing is based on the ITU of 984 recommendations by the global standards are very technically future-proof solutions, because as all of you know, single mode has virtually unlimited bandwidth. Till date, no testing has been done on a single mode fiber to its maximum limit. Whereas multi-mode versions of fiber has a limited bandwidth, but not the single mode. Single modes has virtually unlimited with respect to its bandwidth that it could take. So that's the future-proof, next generation solutions across this. Now, how does it really get connected across? You have your OLTs, which gets connected at your telecom room. You will have fiber optic going across. You could put 1:32 splitter one. There are a number of splitter. Designing is not as easy as we just talk about, because we need to look at what's the attenuation at each one of the space. The maximum distance on a GPON solution you could work is 20 kilometers. Now, from the OLT to a OLT, you can take 20 kilometers. That's the distance it could support to. Now, you can take splitters across and then divide further of 1:8, 1:16 and so on. Now, the solution from the main distribution area where you keep your OLTs till your desktops where the fiber goes, it's completely passive. There's no active across, including the splitters are. It's all the passive splitters that is being used. No power is required. Why did the whole industry start looking at in terms of this solution? Whereas your horizontal cabling could only support you for 100 meters. Could be a 6A, 5E and so on. Whereas the single mode on a GPON could go even up to 20 kilometers across. And look at in terms of the dimensions of your pathways required, space required. There's a large energy saving because fiber would require less power when you compare that of your copper rays. So, just to give you a in terms of how the whole signal flow happens. You have your OLTs getting connected here. Let's assume that I have splitters being placed. So I just connect across through the fiber cable between my main distribution area to the work group area is, and then gets connected across to your fiber distribution boxes, which gets connected across to an OLT, and then to whether you want voice, data, video across to your work areas are. Now, I just run through quickly how this products are being used across. The products does not mean that it's only from T connectivity. Anybody could actually look at. It's important to look at the whole solution and the way the industry is moving forward. So you place the OLTs at your main distribution areas, where you also have your fiber patch panels being loaded at your main distribution area, where from the fiber patch panel you use the band insensitive single mode fiber connecting across to each one of the ports of your OLTCs. From there, from your main distribution area, as the fiber moves across, so you can have a zoning at each one of the work area. It could just be a wall mount where you could put the IFDH boxes or the fiber distribution houses, which will hold those splitters across there. Once you have this IFDH, which is a very similar way how an IFDH box looks like, if it is a pre-terminated, or if you don't want a pre-terminated, you can also do a terminated ones, which holds the splitter modules. Then you also have the patching areas loaded across into the boxes there. The locations has been shown how it's actually getting connected across. Each one of the boxes could take even 288 ports maximum. Then from your boxes, you put across the splitters there, and then gets connected across. These are the passive splitters. This is how it looks. So you'll have one connection, then you'll have plenty. It can go up to 64 also. Today, what is available across 1:64. Just to give you a brief, there are also what recommended is rather than 1:8 or 1:16, you can also look at 2:32, 2:16, 2:8. Why does somebody look at this? I'm sure you'll be thinking, what happens to that one single core if something goes wrong? Is there a redundancy that is going to be built up? So you can have a splitter which is of 2:32 or 2:16. So if one of them fails, the other takes over across. So it's always recommended to look at it in terms of 2:32 or 2:16 in terms of the solution architecture. When it closer to the work areas, you put the splitter boxes connected across to the fiber patch cards, which is a bend insensitive single mode fibers, getting connected across to your work areas. At the work area, you would have the same face plates. Rather than copper, you would have a fiber port there, getting connected across to your ONT, and then gets connected across to your NIC card from the ONT side. So this is how it looks. The whole optical line terminals are the network terminals ONT. What I will do is I will run through a small video on the advantages in terms of looking at the importance of an optical solution is.
devices smarter, faster, and more economically has become essential. With growing bandwidth demands, local area networks, or LANs, are encountering a variety of installation and maintenance challenges. To meet these challenges, TE Connectivity has developed TE Optical LAN Solutions, the most advanced high-performance enterprise LAN solution available today. Using the same passive optical network technology as TE's leading fiber-to-the-premises product portfolio, Optical LAN takes a single strand of single-mode fiber from the data center all the way to the individual user. The TE Optical LAN Solutions GPON architecture is capable of delivering converged voice, video, and data at gigabit bandwidth levels to each desktop. And with GPON's sophisticated data encryption capabilities, it provides secure information transport between users. Optical LAN incorporates TE's Rapid Fiber system, which tackles both cost and cable management challenges. A true plug-and-play solution, the system features TE's innovative Rapid Reel spooling technology into the indoor fiber distribution hub. The IFDH uses MPO connectors rather than splicing or direct termination, which means faster, less costly installations. It is also wall-mounted, which saves valuable floor space in the IDF telco closet and requires no power or cooling. Optical LAN installations use TE's Rapid Indoor Fiber Distribution Terminals, or IFDTs, as consolidation points. By integrating cable payout systems with fast unspooling of up to 300 feet of cable from a single 6 by 9 inch wall box, these IFDTs save even more physical space by eliminating the need for separate cable assemblies, splice cases, and boxes. IFDTs are typically placed within 100 feet of a group of users, eliminating home runs to the telco closet for horizontal cabling and reducing ongoing operational costs. The Optical LAN solution also features TE's microcable technology with reduced bend radius fiber, a flexible optical fiber cable that is designed for easier, faster installations while still preserving signal strength. TE Optical LAN offers many advantages over traditional network architectures with its converge, connect, and conserve approach. The first advantage is power savings. Optical LAN is a highly green solution. In fact, a typical 700-user system can save as much as $130,000 in commercial power per year. A second advantage is space savings. Optical LAN eliminates active workgroup switches in IDF telco closets. Traditional connectivity, switches, powering, and UPS backup are all replaced with a single passive fiber distribution hub. The average space required for 250 users is just 12 square feet. And finally, there are significant bandwidth advantages. Using single-mode fiber all the way to the user provides data rates up to 2.5 gigabits per second downstream and 1.25 gigabits per second upstream. Converged voice, video, and data on a single strand of fiber. These benefits make Optical LAN solutions ideal for new construction, settings with 250 or more users, network and infrastructure upgrades, and even campus environments. In addition, bringing fiber to the desktop is highly secure. Since it does not emit RF energy, it is very difficult to passively listen to or tap into optical circuits. Designing a new network infrastructure or refurbishing an existing network is a significant investment. Design and deploy the right network the first time with TE Optical LAN Solutions.
Now, if you look at it in terms of this solution, how does really Gartner look at? In terms of an optical LAN solution, it's actually triggering the whole technology is they expect it to grow across in the next few years in a big way within the enterprise solutions, which is why the Telecommunication Industry Association installed their entire facility within the GPON architecture. Now, how does the whole industry look like? Forget about the TAA, they build the standards across. So then they look at it in terms of where the industry is heading towards. Now, this is from the Department of Army, this is a newest one, in terms of what technical guidance they look at in terms of the whole cabling solution is. They look at current commercial technologies on a GPON and broadband wireless networking have been proven to reduce about 60% of network devices in terms of reducing the time and to be in the market in terms of saving cost also. So is there any customers now who are installed across the globe who have been installing? So you look at in terms of US Department of Energy, more than 40,000 users is completely on GPON. The Verizon headquarters entire is on the GPON technology. Some big examples are just put across here: Brazil Investments, University of Mary Washington, Department of Justice, Defense, and so on. Now, is it going to be a reality in India? Are we really looking at it here? Now, we know how the communication industry is in the other part of the world. How does the industry look at it in terms of the Indian environment is on the GPON technology? We have projects. IIT Kharagpur is completely on GPON today. Entire facility. IIT Delhi, the entire work is going on in terms of the GPON technologies. So you look at all the Taj hotels. When you enter a Taj hotel in future, you would see every room connected on an optical fiber there, each one of the desks. There are many more. There are more than 15 to 20 projects running across this country. I just put across some of the highlights of 2 to 3 of them. When you have high bandwidth coming across at your desk, how does it really impact within your DC is now there? What kind of solutions that you need to really look at your data centers then? What do we do? When it comes to an optical fiber, we look at inside the box. What are the existing challenges that hold us within the existing data center solutions build up for your future requirements are? One of the important things is, as all of you know, 40 or 100 gig is ratified. It's been more than a year and a half, the ratification is over. What kind of solution do I build in? As a customer, I'm looking at building up a new DC. Today I want it to be at 10 gig enabled, but I don't want to really invest again. When I want to support for 40 or 100 gig, the same product should be able to support. Is it possible? What are the key criteria that I need to look at then? Is something an important takeaway from this. If you look at on a 40 gig 4 into 10, as all of you know, for a 40 or 100 gig, it does not work on a flipped version of transmit and receive, receive and transmit. It works on parallel transmission. So you'll have 4 fiber for transmit, 4 on receive is. So how do I really look at from a planning perspective is when the whole solution goes across. You normally use the quad based SFP connectors, QSFP plus. When you look at the standards are also getting ratified for 4 into 25 gig. That means each of the fiber could actually drive for 25 gig. So I just use 8 fibers for 100 gig rather than using 24 fibers. But it's not yet ratified, but there are products that are getting ready where you use a connector called CFP connector. That's called a C form factor pluggable. So whereas these things are very familiar for a single multi-mode is on a, if you look at on a duplex single mode itself, you can drive 40 gig if you are using a 40G base FR interface there by using the connectors of CFP, which is again a C form factor hot pluggable. Why does we just not look at single mode? Why we should look at multi-mode still? This slide comes from the Cisco's, where still the cost of the LAN electronics interface is going to be a huge difference when you look at 40 or 100 gig ports. So it's going to be almost 20 times across the cost difference between the multi-mode and the single mode is. So still we prefer on the multi-mode version to go with laser optimized fibers, which is of an OM3 or an OM4 is. What are the big things that we need to take care from here? So we go and use multi-mode, whether it could be an OM3 or an OM4. But OM3s can only support you for 100 meters, whereas an OM4 could support you for 150 meters for a 40 or 100 gig requirements are. So there are tight power budgets. For an OM3 it's 1.9 dB and OM4 is 1.5 dB. These are some of the things which will become critical as you start planning for your 40 or 100 gig within your data center requirements are. This is just to show you how the connector looks for a CXP or CFP, which is called the C form factor hard pluggable. So, which means when I am using a 10 gig, today I am using only 2 fiber, 1 transmit, 1 receive. When I am going to use 40 gig, I am going to use 8 fibers, 4 on transmit, 4 on receive. When I am using 100 gig, I am going to use 20 fibers, 10 on transmit, 10 on receive, on a single simple connector, where you have all the 20 fibers on a single connector, which is an MPO. So you also have an option of 4 into 25, but standards are not ratified. Work is going on, but it is possible to deliver. One of the most important takeaway is why 24 fiber MPO connectors are important for your planning today of any new data centers are. The reason is, if you put a 24 fiber MPO, you will get, for a 10 gig, you can go 1:12. You can still connect across to 12 numbers of 10 gig ports. If you look at for a 4 into 10, same MPO connector, you can split it across to 1:3. On a 10 into 10, you will go 1:1. Tomorrow, or it's already available, when you have 4 into 25 gig, the same MPO connector could be used for 3 times of 1:3, which could support for 100 gig. So the important takeaway is, today in the market, you will have MPOs connectors available. Most of them, 99% of them is all 12 fiber MPOs. If you plan a 12 fiber MPO within your DC, it will limit you for your 40 gig. It doesn't take you. So the same connector, if you buy a 24 fiber one and just plug in, it could take you for your 10 gig, tomorrow's 40 as well as 100 gig is. So that is where you look at in terms of migration. By using a 24 fiber MPO, which could go across from 10 to 40, 40 to 100 and so on. So this is the next generation connectors of the 24 fiber, which is already available on the active transceivers as well as on the passives. So it reduces almost 33% of your space, because just you are changing from 12 to 24 is, and it increases completely your efficiency and builds the migration path from your 10 to 100 gig is. The last one, when you have these high density fibers, today you have fiber 60% in any DCs, they are coming, 40 is copper. By 2016, we expect it to be 80% of fiber and 20% of copper. So when you have high density of fibers coming in within your DC, how do I really manage such kind of data centers there? Especially in terms of managing the bend radius of optical fiber. High density of fibers coming in. So the whole industry developed the next generation 4 solution, which is for your fiber optic management, entire thing. I'll just run through a small video on it, so it gives the complete detail.
Challenges of managing and maintaining high fiber counts in today's data center and central office environments. TE is excited to introduce NG4 Access, our 4th generation ODF platform. From the ODF innovation leader, TE once again is pioneering new technologies, balancing termination density with circuit accessibility, helping service providers speed their fiber installation and lower overall deployment costs. The NG4 Access ODF offers industry-leading density over legacy frame solutions, while meeting all GR449 Issue 3 requirements. The high-density frame holds up to 6 chassis positions, yielding 3,456 LC terminations. A newly designed staggered adapter pack is one of the primary building blocks of the NG4 Access ODF platform. Each port is clearly marked and easy to identify. The unique staggered adapter pack is also designed to accept a variety of connector types, including single-mode and multi-mode, angled and ultra-polished connections. Once the connection is made on the back of the adapter pack, the technician can easily identify the connector type on the front side of the panel by color. The flexibility of the high-density staggered adapter pack helps service providers reduce ordering SKUs and total inventory requirements. Adapter packs easily snap into access trays in the universal chassis. To access an adapter pack, the installer opens the access tray by pulling out the front tab. Access to the back side of the panel is identical to the front. In comparison, legacy ODF solutions have limited connector access and often no cable management features on the backside. In these scenarios, the technician will have difficulty accessing an individual connector without negatively impacting neighboring fibers. The NG4 Access ODF platform also features cabled modules with pre-terminated IFC. Using the LC cable module, for example, the installer can route a 144 fiber IFC cable to the frame, where 6 groups of 24 fiber cabled modules are terminated using a single click. In contrast, a legacy ODF solution requires the installer to route 144 individual connectors and make 144 separate terminations, a much more labor-intensive proposition. The NG4 Access cable module with pre-terminated IFC also ensures that connectors are kept in sequential order and helps prevent accidental fiber breakage or disruption to adjacent fibers, which can negatively impact service. The NG4 Access Universal Chassis accepts a variety of packs and modules. Rather than dedicating an entire chassis to a specific function, the installer can quickly configure an individual access tray with adapter packs, cable modules, NPO modules, or even a van module. The NG4 Access ODF also supports on-frame splicing without sacrificing termination density. The splice chassis can be added at any time to any installed ODF frame and fits neatly below the lowest horizontal trough on the backside. Combined with TE's View 1.2mm micro cable patch cords, the NG4 Access reduces cable congestion in vertical waterways significantly, up to 100% when compared to using 2mm patch cords. For more information on the NG4 Access ODF platform, contact TE today.
So, it actually supports almost 3, 4, 5, 6 in terms of the terminations using 1.2 mm racking. So that's the density of fiber management within the DC. You could actually look at when we look at in terms of 80% of the population being on an optical fiber from the copper is. Thank you so much. Any questions? Any question? Yeah.
How does it support the existing individual-wise existing
Yeah, there's always been a question across how does it support a PoE, how does it support across to an end user voices. So these ONTs which are connected across at your desk does it. So these are actually capable of delivering you one of the PoEs. No, you will not be, if you want to change an existing infrastructure, it will go and be a full-fledged replacement from your copper to an optical fiber is. So, as the fiber gets onto your desk, so you will put the optical network terminal there, the ONTs, which would have the copper ports. So then you could take a small patch card and plug it to your NIC cards, and then to your telephone also. To be frank, today it's if you look at, when you look at, I need to look at from a complete perspective of LAN electronics and the passives. So when you look at from the physical layer perspective as well as your LAN electronics, so it could be slightly around 5% or slightly more than that, that's all. But the industry expects as the volume increases, this whole solution of copper and when you compare copper versus the optical fiber with the LAN electronics, this solution is going to become cheaper and cheaper than your copper is over a period of time. The reason is you are keeping work group switches across, which will all get consolidated to one of the area. Look at it in terms of the space saving, look at it in terms of the energy saving. So if you combine all this, the solution would be a far cheaper solution. It would take some time, no doubt about it, but the industry is driving towards these solutions. It could take 2 years, 3 years down the line, but this is where we are heading towards.
So my question, which I have is, if somebody just wanted to do a VOC to see this, what is the sort of minimal thing they could test this with?
They could actually test it with just 6 workstations,
Okay.
or even 2, 3 workstations across. POC could be set up And then there are organizations, even Cisco, I heard they're not the GPON ports across, so we can connect it across. We would provide all the passive connectivity. If somebody is interested on POC, we can work on that solution and ask the active vendor to put across and connect it, and then we can see it how it actually the whole uses.
So, okay, so in Valeria is offering, if you want to do a POC, you actually want to check this, is happy to help.
Yeah, this is purely, I've used some slides of T connectivities is, but it's purely on a technology driven, where the industry is heading towards. Yeah. Definitely, because you're working on an optical fiber, yes. So there's no limitation of the bandwidth there, unless the user wants a gig. Tomorrow you want 10 gig. Anything can be actually driven across from your active port. Today there are 10 gig ports available on the OLTs. You would see a big difference, no doubt about it. At the same time, we also look at, today we are looking at 100 Mbps, that itself we are struggling to drive, all that is there. But where it is required, what kind of centers these are required. Today if you look at media companies, it's completely fiberglass. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get only about 100 by 1000, I think. But
See, my recommendation for your data centers when you talk about server is
yeah,
go for the 10/40/100 no GPON solution within the data centers. It is only for the desks. But just to answer your point, it could even support you for a 10 gig. It is not limited to 10/100 or even a gig. It all depends on what you want and then design the right solution across.
thank you.
So thanks, Valeria, and he's around, and in case you have more questions, he's very happy to take them. Somebody would like to actually, set this up, they've got a display over there by the site, so you can have a look at some of these technologies. I think they'll be very happy to explain.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.